Welcome back, baseball fans. The 1974-77 Carryover League. Another look in the 1977 box. Second look at this box. Looking at the keepers and the rookie classes of 77. There's some amazing performances in this year. I mentioned last time we looked, and we'll see some of them tonight and then the next couple of weeks. 77 is a heck of a great Strat set to get. We're going to begin tonight the American League Midwest and then take a break in the American League West. We'll look at the guys the four guys, if there are all four, on the keeper list who would be here to see if 77 is a good option for them, and then also the rookies. We'll begin the White Sox. The White Sox are keeping Dick Allen, Jerry Hairston, Bill Melton, Wilbur Wood. Dick Allen is out of baseball by now, as is Jerry Hairston. Bill Melton's here, and he has a very intriguing card here. A lot of on-base versus lefties, a lot of it, and a lot of doubles to go with it, with the walks, no home runs. Very strange, but very productive in a platoon. If he doesn't play over here, you wouldn't want him to play. So it's a 241 card, and he did it with the Indians. But the White Sox could certainly sign up for this if they have an option versus righties. And they put together a team with high OPS with walks. We know Jerry Hairston is the guy they signed just for that purpose. And we also have Wilbur Wood's final year, and now he's probably not worth his trouble anymore in 77. Yeah, 4.98 ERA in 123 innings. Just a journeyman at this point. And so a lot of times when guys like this, we don't like to have them play with a weak card. So we might let him get out of the game after 76. But what youngsters are here? It was a youngster in the 76 set, Lamar Johnson, who was a very instrumental part of the team winning the World Series. So let's see who's here in 77. Utility man Alan Bannister, jack of all trades. Normally has speed. He's a good base runner, not a good base stealer yet. Good bat handler, not much power. Decent card, nothing special. He could win a utility job, but it's not going to sway either way. Look at he is an everyday player. In 77, hitting 275. It's one of those strange everyday players that plays all over the place, though. So it's a little head scratching how he would be used in our league. Next up, Jerry Tabb. Left-handed first baseman, some power, but he doesn't get on base enough. Here's one of the promising farm hands. Francisco Barrios is a starter 7. How's the ERA? He's 14-7 with a 4.13 ERA on 3 days rest. For a team who won the World Series, it's kind of a come down for this kind of performance. It's slightly worse than the number 4 starter a year ago, but that was Jerry Bell, who wasn't even pitching for the White Sox. So he could take that slot on the team. Better, though, is this guy, Laren LeGros. He was a White Sox, and he's very good in the bullpen. So they could add to a strength, which is the bullpen, of Gossage and Forster, that really nice Mike Garman card, and Stan Bonson. They could put Stan Bonson back in the rotation, which is why Bonson's so valuable. It doesn't matter if you start him or relieve him. And then put LeGros in the bullpen. That's probably what I would do if this team was taking a rookie from the 77 class. That's a good option. So LeGros over Barrios. Next up, the Kansas City Royals. They really have to start producing some talent here as we get as we get to their playoff years. They have the first pick in the draft, which is crazy to think. Otis, Rojas, Bird, and Splittorff are all going to be here. Is this the Otis card? It's fantastic defense and speed, but the average is not there at 251. Rojas by now has started to lose it, so one of his early cards is desired. Doug Bird has a nice card in 76, and in 77, he's okay, he's just a guy. And then there's Paul Splittorff, who has a nice 1975. And then this would be a decent card to get in the pitch on 3 days rest as a 16-game winner. Internal improvements, there's also the idea of internally improving Al Cowan's. You don't have to do this, but you really should think about it. This is one of Al Cowan's best years. Might be the best year of his career. So you want to get that available as soon as you can. It would cost you a draft pick. But if you don't have good options, and I didn't think any of these 4 regular players is that special, I would go with Cowan's over any of these 4 guys and get these in a different year. And then you swap out Cowan's card, which is a 74 card, I believe, and find a free agent off the street in the year of 74 is how they would do that. But how about the youngsters? Should be at least a couple here. More than a couple, because Pete LeCoc's pretty productive here. You got yourself a corner first baseman. You don't even mind him in playing every day. His defense is poor, but he hits. Peter Marshall's kid, 303 and 200 at-bats. But he could be an everyday player because he doesn't mind lefties. Buck Martinez, a -1 arm catcher versus lefties. Not much stick. And here's Tom Poquette. What's he hitting? 292. Well, eventually hit 300. He's a lot like LeCoc, but he does it more just on one side, offers better defense. But here's your guy that you want on the team. You got a 328 hitting John Wathan, highest average of his career. Burst onto the scene, I think, in 76, 77. So adding a 328 hitter, remember, you're going to have Brett hitting 333. You don't have Hal McRae hitting 332, so you might as well go with Wathan's 328 to team up. There's all sorts of guys in this farm system. Look at Joe Zebb, another 280 hitting outfielder, 297. All these guys are under 200 at-bats. Poquette, LeCoc, Zebb. They're all good. 2 range. Heck of a batting average. Not much power. Jerry Augustine was a Milwaukee pitcher. High ERA. How about Mark Littell in the bullpen? He's good in 76 and also here in 77 with a 360 ERA. Gary Wheelock. Not much there. He's just a guy. So Kansas City has options. They have plenty in the farm system, as you would expect. But you also have the notion of Al Cowan's somehow getting into the MVP conversation. All right, next up, it'll be the Milwaukee Brewers. And John Briggs, Darrell Porter, George Scott, Jim Colburn. Briggs is gone by now. This is the best of the 4 Darrell Porter cards. He goes to Kansas City by now. That might explain a lot of it. He's hit on artificial turf. But the Brewers can take this card. George Scott is a better 75. Jim Colburn's a nice card. He's, I think, also with Kansas City. Yeah, they made a trade there. But the Brewers can still hold on to these guys. Hopefully the rookies are better because nothing flashy there. Mike Champion, second baseman, nothing special. Here's a nice player. He was a Yankee. His name's George Zeber. He's a switch-hitting player. He doesn't have a lot of plate appearances. But he hits 323. If you're looking for someone to help out this offense, because we know that Paul Molitor, Jim Gantner aren't here yet. It's taking Robin Yount a while to be productive. It'd be nice to get this guy in the lineup in the middle infield to do things that Paul Molitor would eventually do until Molitor arrives. He can do it on a short sample size of this card. Moose Haas comes in as a starter 7 in 198 innings. His ERA is over 4, though. Bob McClure, very nice lefty reliever. Very good. This would be a taker, definitely. A 2.54 ERA. So Milwaukee is chipping away there. They don't have Gorman Thomas or Ogilvy, or they don't have the Harvey Wallbangers yet. But they have a bridge player in Zieber. They have McClure ready to go. And the rest of those guys in the earlier years. And then next up, it's the Twins. All right, the Twins. Now you're going to see a heck of a nice card for Carew here. It's Steve Bry actually was part of a trade, so they have Bobby Valentine, Rod Carew, Oliva, and Blyleven. Here's a Bry card. He was sent to the Cubs. It's a productive card. But this is the Carew card you'll take. Now I understand there's a 360 hitting second base card, and this guy is hitting 388 here. So this is the best year for Carew, his MVP year. The homers, the triples, and the doubles. I mean, 388 is 388, folks. You kind of want this card. And again, he delivers everything on the top line as well. He's your first baseman. So you pretty much have to go with this Carew card, even though there's a 359 card at second base. But that's all right. They can put him at first, and they could put Bob Randall at second. That's a heck of a card. Second highest batting average behind George Brett's 390 in 1980. Those two cards will eventually coexist in the same league once the 77, 78, 79, and 80 leagues are put together in one massive league. That will be awesome later on. Blyleven delivers in every year of the timeline, so it doesn't matter which card you take. This is a fantastic starter 9, 2.72 ERA. Rookies. Rich Childs is a corner outfield with some batting average, but not much power. Disco Dan Ford, an outfielder, but not that great against righties, great against lefties. A catcher, Larry Haney, and here's Bobby Randall. So you'd take, you'd put Randall and get him to play second base. However, Randall's better in 78 and 79. His batting average isn't that good here. So if you don't want to take him with this particular card, you need to find another second baseman, as Carew is going to be moving over to first base. So that's something to consider, moving forward. Roy Smalley, not that great a card here, even though he's a switch hitter. Winnegar's a -1 arm catcher. He's got a nice card, but he's behind Phil Roof. Jeff Holley, a lefty reliever, but he's getting knocked around. Plenty of players here. Dave Johnson. The Twins have a farm system. Not very good, though. Pete Redfern, starter 5. 5.19 ERA, though. Larry Sorensen out of Milwaukee, but a 4.37 ERA. So they have quantity, not a lot of quality there. There's a ton of guys. That's 10 guys. I was expecting Randall will be better than that, but he's got a better year coming up. It's just not 77. So they might have to figure out what to do at second base. In a weird scenario, you actually could play Carew at second base, ignoring the defense, if you can't find anybody else. All right, we're going to take a pause, and then we'll get into the American League West. All right, we'll begin the California Angels out west. Joe Ferguson, Aurelio Rodriguez, Bob Reynolds, Nolan Ryan. Joe Ferguson is here in 77. He's got nice cards in 74, and this one in 77. He would do this with the Dodgers. Oh, the Astros. I think he had a separate stint. He was Dodgers, Astros, and then back to the Dodgers. But the Angels have the rights. And then Nolan Ryan. Here he's at the part of the career where, look at the walks and strikeouts and hits here. Look at this. Look at this. 200 hits, 200 walks, 300 strikeouts. The whip is about 1.33. Doesn't necessarily translate well to winning Strat-O-Matic. Enough, at least. There are rookies. You got a Vic Davalillo pinch hitting card at 300. Could be a DH. Jim Essien, a nice little catcher, a 0 arm. Rob Wilfong, a 3 second baseman in a platoon. Gary Woods has better cards than this. That's not a good one. They got Dennis Martinez away from Baltimore with this card, though it's not particularly good either. 4.10 ERA. Donnie Moore's with Atlanta in this version, I think. Or the Cubs. He was a Brave, he was a Cub. By the time he gets to the Angels, it's the mid-80s. And that's too many doubles right there. Wayne Simpson. This is the same Wayne Simpson from Cincinnati who had arm problems throughout his career, and he still does. Well, nothing glamorous out of the Angels here. Frankly, it's Joe Ferguson's the only real taker of that list. All right. Next, it's the Oakland A's. Oakland hanging on the edge of the dynasty. Of course, by 77, that will be clearly past their prime. But is there some talent still here? It's Sal Bando, Reggie Jackson, Raleigh Fingers, Ken Olsen. So Bando is still good here. Is he with Milwaukee? He's with Milwaukee by this point, hitting 250. Here's Reggie, his first year with the Yankees, and look at the defense. Now, the 75 card, he's a 1-5. And look, in 2 years, he turns into this. Remember, they're going to win the World Series with that defense in right field. You know, 286, 32 homers. Everything else is there. He's the same old Reggie, but what happens? And does this translate well to Strat-O-Matic? You know? You'd like to make him a DH if you had this card. Raleigh Fingers could use this card. Now, he's probably with San Diego. Yeah. But the A's could take this card if they have trouble finding another year for him. And Kenny Holtzman is probably past his prime now. Yeah, he's getting knocked around. Pretty bad card here. With the Yankees, a 5.75 ERA. Clearly lost it. So I really wouldn't take any of those. Maybe Fingers. Do the A's have some rookies? Well, Tony Armas. You know, he's decent. He's a 3 in the outfit. He would eventually be a 1 with a -3 arm. But he's decent with this card. Gil Flores, a corner outfielder, as a 2, who has a nice batting average, not much power. B. Steeler, hitting around 286, 278. Here's Wayne Gross, another one of those homer, walk, strikeout kind of players. On the corners, better at first and third. Could play every day because of the production on that side. So he's the heir apparent to Bando when Bando leaves. But you also have this Mankowski guy who could play second or third as a lefty with a nice batting average. 276. However, here's the player that practically should make the roster and give the Dynasty A's a final jolt. And that's your 1977 Rookie of the Year, Mitchell Page. Hitting 307 with 21 home runs. Rookie of the Year, edging Eddie Murray of Baltimore. Well, we know how that works out beyond this year. He can't field either, but he can be the DH, and he would join a speedy Oakland outfield with Claudell Washington and Reggie Still as an ace stealer. So this is a really nice piece added to the last year of the Dynasty A's of 74. This is the best news the A's have of what is a getting old and fading away story. This is that last jolt player to add to the Dynasty A's to give him a chance at stealing one more World Series appearance. You have him, Claudell, Campaneris, Reggie. You got a flying Oakland team, one of the fastest Oakland teams we'd have. Oddly enough, in a couple years they'll have Ricky Henderson and Dwayne Murphy, but they can't put all that together. It's too many years to overlap, but Mitchell Page will help. We have Billy Smith, a switch hitting second baseman. He's okay. Jim Tyrone, one of those Oakland outfielders, not particularly good. Doug Bear ended up here with a 3.47 ERA. He was an Oakland A, then he goes to the Reds. Ken Clay, I think, was a Yankee. Yeah. Matt Keogh had control issues at the beginning of his career. Eventually, he has a nice 1980. And Bob Lacey, a really nice setup guy for Oakland. 77 through 1980. That's a decent card in 77. Actually, Mitchell Page and Bob Lacey make a whole lot of sense here. Get some youngsters on the team on 4-year contracts. I'd almost figure out a way of making that happen. Go Page and Lacey. Again, go old school with Bando, Jackson Fingers, and Holtzman, and go Mitchell Page and Bob Lacey. Rick Langford will have a better year in 1980. They keep going. Pablo Torrealba, a lefty starter who's pretty good. My goodness, he might be better than Bob Lacey. A 2.62 ERA, he's a starter. So now they have plenty of So this is great news. We didn't expect them to have much in the farm system, but they have plenty to aid the last chance 74 Dynasty A's. So they are going to get a boost. Oakland. If you thought they were done, it doesn't look like they are. They're going to get a boost from their farm system one more time, one final time. All right, next up, it'll be Seattle. Jerry Morales, Bill North, Bob Stinson, Bill Singer. This is an all-star card for Jerry Morales. Did it with the Cubs. Look at the great defense in the center because you got a -3 arm. Crushes lefties, still plenty of power versus righties. He's got 11 homers. He did this. So a typical Jerry Morales year is about 10 home runs and a 270 average. He's got 11 homers and 290. That gets him in the All-Star game in 77. Bill North is now a 3 in center field, and he's no longer a Double-A Steeler, so you probably don't want that card. Stinson got himself a World Series ring for the White Sox, and then here in 77, traded to Seattle, and look, he is Seattle. He's one of the foundational members of the 77 Mariners, and his card looks a lot like it did with the White Sox, at least in the right side platoon, on-base machine. He's not very good against lefties. Are there any youngsters in Seattle? Probably not. Or they're going to be... Well, Bakhti's here. Actually, he's not on Seattle yet, is he? He's still with Cleveland. He's probably better in left field than at first, but he's got a nice batting average. 301, so you can promote Bakhti now. Julio Cruz, the switch-hitting second baseman. Hitting 256, so that average will be steady. Defense has to get better, but he's still an ace stealer. You can put up with bad defense for a year. Rupert Jones in center field still has some range. He's very young here. I think he was one of the early picks in the draft out of Kansas City. I think he has a 76 Kansas City card. And you see 24 home runs. He'd be one of the stars of the 77 Mariners, so it's worth getting him. Carlos Lopez led the 77 Mariners in hitting at 283. -3 arm in the outfield. Better against righties and lefties. Dan Meyer could be the first baseman if you don't want to go Bakhti. He was out of Detroit, but his first year in Seattle, he's got 22 homers. You can see that ballpark translated immediately to good hitting. As you wouldn't expect Rupert Jones and Dan Meyer to come out stroking so quickly. You figured it would take some time, but they had ballpark effects that helped them. Bill Stein, I think, was a White Sox. No, he was Seattle. Full season here as well. Steve Swisher, just an okay catcher. Was Floyd Bannister here? No, he's with the Astros. 403 ERA, 140 innings. This is another one of those cards I wrote into the league back when I was printing them myself. And yeah, it was kind of a pain in the neck to input the data that so I had codes that I input. I didn't actually type all this information in. I had codes like Homer 6 or Homer 18, and it translates to that. So it was like an acronym for all K, and I had an input spreadsheet, and this was the output spreadsheet. But it became tedious and obviously not really necessary, because I never really played these cards. Kind of nice to look at now, but not worth the trouble. Dick Pole, 516, no thanks. Here's a good closer. Enrique Romo, relief 3, starter 7. He's a Seattle Mariner. Eventually he goes to the Pirates. You take him here now before Pittsburgh takes him on their 79 team to close out games. This is a lot like Oakland. Oakland and Seattle have nice farm systems. This guy was a twin, Thermadsgard. So there's plenty of options here. You literally have Bach T and Dan Meyer competing for first base duties. Rupert Jones should probably make it. So some nice options. Plus, you got to remember, you can't take 2 rookies if you're going to go with that Jerry Morales All-Star card and Bob Stinson's card. All right, lastly, it'll be the Texas Rangers. So they have Burroughs, Unser, Zisk, and Nellie Briles. Burroughs is to Atlanta by now. You take this card, but you've got the 74 at Texas card. You see, the Texas card, he's going to hit the 30-some-odd homers and a 300 average. By the time he gets to Atlanta, he's hitting 40 home runs. It's 271. It's a fine card. Del Unser has a nice middle 70s, always hitting at least righties only, if not a full-time player. Good defense. Did it with the Expos, did it with the Mets. Another good, productive Richie Zisk card. He's always productive. Here's with the White Sox. 290 with 30 bombs. Richie Zisk, always productive. What we did was we had him go directly from Pittsburgh to the Rangers instead of making a stop in Chicago. And Nellie Briles is a nice 76. 77, he's with Baltimore. And even pitching on that great Baltimore staff, it doesn't make him pitch any better. 4.18 ERA, nothing special there. Let's look at their farm system. Probably not as good as Oakland and Seattle. They got Ed Armbrister away from Cincinnati. Just a 256 average here. He's got a nice 76 card though. Skip Jutsi, +2 arm catcher, nothing special. He's got power versus righties. Junior Moore's got a nice batting average over lefty, not much defense. Just a 260 hitter. You got a switch hitting 2 defensive center fielder. Has the walks, has some power, not enough batting average. 250 average as a part-time player. But here's a good player to take. Here, this could be the new. You still have Len Randall on the team. You still have Dave Nelson on the team. Len Randall could play third. Toby Harris could play short. You could replace Dave Nelson with Bump Wills. An ace-stealing, switch-hitting second baseman, something that Texas is familiar with. Great card, 287. That's the best card here. So I'd go with Del Unser maybe and this card. Except Don Ossie is a nice starter. He was better reliever, but that's a good starting pitcher. Did it with the Red Sox, a 3.13 ERA. A lefty Don Collins, I think he was California. No, he's an Atlanta Brave. 5.07, nothing special other than he throws left-handed. You can call him a lefty who kind of gets lefties out. You want that out. You want to miss that home run. Wishful thinking, you know. Chris Knapp didn't really produce very well, 481. Spillner has a nice career with Cleveland. Here's a Padre. 373 ERA and 123 innings. This could get in the league. Though, you know, they got better options. That's what I'm saying about this card set. Even the marginal players still have presentable cards. you see that you have use out of a lot of these cards. None of them are so bad you don't want to play them whatsoever. You know, I mean, you could use an armbrister. All these cards could play in a league, at least in a platoon. And a lot of Strat-O-Matic sets, you know, they just print because that's what the population suggested. A lot of 175, 160 hitters who are just so awful you wonder, how am I going to use this guy? 77 set is extremely deep. So there's plenty of options. There should be plenty of options that all teams have. Not to mention that you got 2 extra teams of talent anyway. So that's why you see so much depth. Seattle and Toronto's new franchises have spread the talent throughout the league. Couple players added to each team. So that's it tonight for the American League, Midwest and West. When we get started next week, we'll look at the National League, and there's going to be 3 incredible cards to look at coming up. So you want to stay tuned the next couple of weeks and see what's coming up in the 77 season. So thanks for checking this out, and we'll see you next time.